Failure. First act in learning. Failure. My buddy, Coach Santo, said that on one of our weekly Zoom coaching calls, and I absolutely loved it. And I said, Santo, I got to make a podcast about that one, brother, because I feel like so many people, they try all these different things, right? And so let me just pre-frame this entire episode. I'm going to walk you guys down memory lane in terms of a lot of my failures, right? But then also where we are today. And before we do that, right, let's also just so everybody knows, and this might sound familiar because odds are if you're listening to this, you probably tried a few of these things and probably had the same old song and dance just like everybody else because it's typically what we hear the most, is that you failed at losing weight because maybe you tried keto and, saw some quick wins in the very beginning, right? Cut out your carbs, see number scale go down, but eventually you fell off the wagon. You regained the weight right back. Maybe you tried Weight Watchers. Maybe you tried V-Shred. Maybe you tried Noom, P90X, insert any kind of fad diet or cookie cutter program right into there. And you tried it. And maybe you're at a point right now where you feel like you tried everything under the sun, which probably you didn't. You just think you did. And you feel like you're a failure. That mindset right there, that is the ultimate sign of failure. Is not trying anymore. Is completely giving up. Failure, and I said this before in many other episodes, is the stepping stone to success. You need to fail. You need to. If let's just say you, was teaching your son how to ride a bike and you never once, fell off that bike before, right? Meaning like you failed, right? You fell off the bike. You maybe scraped your elbow when you were a kid back in the day or something like that, whatever the case may be. You wouldn't be credible to then tell your son when he falls off the bike, or if he does fall off the bike, let's say in that time frame, you wouldn't be credible to say, hey, it's going to be perfectly fine. You're going to be A-okay. It's just a little boo-boo, You're going to get right back on the bike, and sure enough, you're going to be better, right? And the more you practice and don't give up, the better and efficient you're going to be at riding that bike. It's the same thing. So it's just like, you need to understand that your failures, the tribulations, the trials, everything like that, your mishaps that you had to go through in life, it should be building up the calluses mentally, emotionally, and also maybe even physically to where it is that you're trying to get to. What do I mean by that? Well, I always say it like this. The different diets that I kind of mentioned, anybody can do anything when life is easy, but that's not life. Life's going to throw you curveballs. Life's going to throw you distractions. Life's going to throw you so many different adversities, plain and simple. But pressure builds diamonds. And most of the time, people just give up. They throw in the weight towel, they quit, they go back to old ways, they give up. And they don't understand that adversity, right, is actually what builds the character the most. So anytime stress happens in your way, right, instead of giving up or anything like that, you need to honestly look at it in terms of like it being a blessing in disguise. If let's just say somebody was following through in our coaching program, right, and we don't do that cut out carb crap like most people do. We actually teach them sustainable habits. And let's just say, hey, on a particular day, everything's great. They're feeling good. They're feeling really good, right? They're feeling motivated. They're feeling disciplined. They're working out, right? Whether it's at home or whether it's at the gym. They're engaging with the end members in the community groups. They're hitting their nutritional goals in terms of their calories and their protein. Like, life's great. Life's easy. They're seeing success. But let's say maybe they get sick. Or let's say maybe they deal with an injury, right? Or let's say they're dealing with some stress. Whatever the case may be, right? Adversity. I want you to think that every time there's a good day in terms of you hitting your goals and you showing up and putting in the work and following through with the program, that's like you putting down a brick, right? You're just putting down these bricks and you're stacking these bricks. You're stacking these bricks, right? You're building up like this wall. But here's the reality. If there is no, concrete, right? No mortar that's sticking to these bricks and holding it firm, that wall is nothing. Because once again, anybody can do anything when life is easy. but that's not life. And if you don't have that mindset, you're not going to be successful. It's like the bad times come because it's the mortar to these bricks that holds that wall firm. And the mortar could be anything. It's the bad wolf. It's you contemplating yourself, should I do this? Why am I even doing this? Am I even seeing progress? Like, this is taking forever, right? It's that good wolf versus bad wolf mentality. Or maybe it's injuries, maybe it's stress at work, at home, or maybe it's sicknesses. It doesn't matter. It's a curveball. And life's always going to throw you these curveballs. But you need to understand that, like, when you still step up to the plate, and sure, you might strike out, but it's okay. You stepped up to the plate. Most people don't. And every time you step up, this is where you're building up those, putting down that mortar on that wall. So that way you're strong, you're sturdy. And it's a learning experience. And that's why I really like, Santo's explanation of a fail. First act in learning. I absolutely love that. And I've had so many failures. I mean, let's think about it. Way back when I was a kid, for example. I had to go to Sylvan Learning Center because, before that, I had to go to speech class because I couldn't say the word yellow. I had to go to Sylvan Learning Center because I had a horrible time just reading comprehension, mathematics, all that stuff, Fast forward, into I'm in high school. I, failed at making it to the Marine Corps. I failed my ASVAB test 3 times. Physically fit, right, to get in. Obviously, that's, a no-brainer here. But mentally, right, I struggled with test anxiety. I struggled with reading comprehension. So I failed at that. So I never made the Marines. I then went into trying to become an MMA fighter, like make it to the big leagues, the UFC. And I wouldn't say I failed at that, but, I didn't really have, like, George St. Pierre or Conor McGregor style, of like a record, or so to speak. And at the same time, I'm not making any money, so it's just like I gotta do something with my life. Failed in a relationship, right? That almost left me, like dead. Like, no pun intended, but definitely failed in that. And I want to say, definitely with Heartletics, failing. I mean, you guys might not know this, but like the first, and I share this plenty of times, the first 3 years of my business was really hard. The first year, I thought I can do it all under the sun before investing into a business coach, and so I end up losing, about $45,000, $50,000 just trying different things on my own. YouTube ads, Facebook ads, different websites, different funnels, right? Like not knowing how to run a business. And instead of me pushing my ego to the side and just asking for help, I'm like, oh, no, second year is coming. It's going to get better, right? And I end up doing pretty much the same thing. I end up signing up some clients, and every time I sign up some clients, like it made me feel good in terms of like, oh, yeah, we don't need a coach. We can do this all by ourselves. And maybe that's how you feel also with trying like these different fad diets, right? Like keto, Atkins, paleo, right? Whatever the case may be, where you see some success, where you mentally tell yourself, oh, I don't need a coach. I can do this by myself. I did it by myself. I was able to lose some weight. Well, guess what? Like that's what led to year number 2 with me. Hey, I can sign up some clients, but still at the end of the year was not profitable at all. End up losing about, $25,000, $30,000. That third year, right? I broke even, right? And mentally, right? The ego Coach Joe was like, dude, you're crushing it. You didn't make any money, but you didn't lose any money. You broke even, right? Horrible mentality I had. And it wasn't until like all lines were on the table where, my accountant at that time, he said to me, hey, listen, this is the 3rd year in a row you're in the red. You should hang it up, brother. You should honestly stop this. It's not profitable. It's not looking good. And the ego in me did help me on that time frame because I said to myself, well, hey, first year I lost X amount of dollars. The second year I lost, not as much. And then the third year, which is right now, I'm, breaking even. So I'm not losing as much as I did the previous years. It is slowly getting better somehow. So the ego did kind of help me in that time frame because when my accountant told me I should stop and, not pursue, having this coaching business anymore, guess what? Like it broke my heart, but the I guess I don't know, the one that never quits, Coach Joe that's inside of me, right? That warrior, like he spoke up and said, "Nah, dude, I just need to fire you," and I did. Like literally the next week, I fired him and hired a new accountant. But I took my last $10,000 that I had in savings and I invested into a business coach, right? And this business coach at the time, I didn't know anything about a fitness business coach. I didn't know anything about that, right? I didn't even know that it was a thing. He reached out to me on Instagram, just sending me over some messages. And I was like, dude, this sounds like the biggest scam ever. He sent me over a free guide on like a poll to make on Instagram. And I ended up doing it. And it actually got me some like people conversating, like, asking about inquiries on losing weight. And I said, okay, like the dude's, earned my trust a little bit here. So he wanted to hop on a call. We hopped on a call. We chatted for a little bit, and then we hopped on another call. And he told me the price. And I was like, holy cow. It's like $10,000. I was like, shh, I cannot afford that. But I found a way. Because I looked at my life in terms of I always failed and I always gave up. If there's anything that I want to stick with, it's going to be Heartletics till the day I die. Simply because I had that shark mentality of always moving forward. A shark cannot swim backwards or else it's going to die. And I had that shark mentality with my business. And, at the time, this is when I'm like, I think Allison was pregnant, with Oakley. And I was like, I have a family that's going to be, starting here soon. I was like, I got to do something, and I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to, motivate and inspire the world. I want to change the world, make it a better place. I also want to leave a legacy for my son. I want to be that role model. I want to be that impact that he can always remember and look up to. So I took my last $10,000. I gave it to some random guy that, found me on Instagram, and the rest is history. Just like that. The rest is history. Looking back at it, it feels like it was yesterday. But that was like 4 or 5 years ago. And 4 years ago, because Oakley's 4 now. Yeah, that's wild. And it's just crazy because, I was able to, acquire, more clients, more customers. I was able to build this business, build this brand. I was able to, take the profits, invest it right back in the business. I was able to hire some people. When the time was right, I was able to, quit ties with my full-time employer at the time that I had when I was doing Heartletics on the side. And now I'm doing this full-time. And now I have an amazing team that works for me, and it's growing ever since, and it's amazing, And I'm not saying that to brag or boast by any means, but I want you to see the timeline, right? Remember, hey, speech class, couldn't say yellow, fail. Sylvan Learning Center, fail. Couldn't make it as a Marine, failed my ASVAB test, failed. Didn't, make it to the UFC because of my MMA, right? Fail. Starting business, fail. First 3 years, fail. This life, right? Relationship, fail, right? This life that I've been living, it's nothing but failures leading up to a massive amount of success. And it just goes to show you that, what happens when you don't give up in life and you go after what sets your soul on fire, or you go after something that you're passionate about, or you just make a commitment to yourself. I had my last little bit of savings money, and I invested in some random person I didn't even know. Talk about a complete scam right there. But it was that sink or swim mentality. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to take that leap of faith. I'm going to step outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to fully dive into this. And I'm really glad that I had no money when I invested into this coaching program, right? When I invested into this business coach, because it made me work 10 times harder than all the other, online fitness coaches that was also hiring this coach. Think about it, right? I remember doing their coaching calls at a particular time where it was late out in the night because it was a completely different time zone, I'm ruining my sleep habits, ruining my training habits just to, do what this coach was telling me to do, because guess what? I was hungry. I needed to do something about it. If I didn't, I was going to live this miserable life of working for somebody that, granted, I had an amazing job, But it doesn't matter. I could have the best boss in the world, right? I could have a boss that literally lets me do anything I want. It still wouldn't make me happy. Why? Because I want that boss. I want to be that boss. I want to be that leader, right? I don't want to work for anybody else. Even if that person's paying me boatloads of money, telling me I can do whatever I want, eat donuts all day, it's still not going to make me happy because that's somebody I have to report to. That's, I have to clock in. I have to clock out. It's a job just above broke. I'm sure you heard that before. I have this entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial, heart where it's like, hey, I'm on this world to make an impact. And that's why I always say impact over income, because I want to change millions of people's lives. I can't do that working for somebody else because maybe our mission statement doesn't align. So it just goes to show you that maybe, right, you've tried all these different things before in the past, but you can't quit. You can't give up. Just like Santos said, right? Fail is first act in learning. I needed to go through all those hardships. I needed to go all through those failures because guess what? It made me better. It was that mortar. It was everything that I need to this brick wall, right? Where I'm mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, physically, spiritually stronger, everything like this. I needed to go through those, learning lessons, right? I needed to go through those failures. That's what led to where we are today. And anytime that there's a adversity or failure that happens in my life, I know it's a blessing in disguise because I have faith. I trust and believe that it's all going to work out in the end. So if you're struggling, keep this in mind. Fail. First act in learning. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.